It's Wednesday, March 9th, 2016. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. It's warm out, and tonight we are reviewing Mamoru Hosoda's The Boy and the Beast.
Beasts. Let's do this.
And TLDR version, we're going to tell you to go see it, but the review will get into more detail, I guess.
When have we ever said for an anime movie, don't go see it?
Yeah, I mean, the anime movies we'd tell you not to go see are the ones that we either didn't watch or we don't talk about.
Or we're not going to watch.
Yeah. There aren't that many bad anime movies that I've seen. Well, I guess there are. I mean, we never did like Harmageddon or Doom Megalopolis, I guess.
I won't necessarily tell you not to watch them.
Actually, I was talking to multiple people about both of those anime recently, and in all these conversations, the end result was basically, it's kind of like Apocalypse Zero. May not be the greatest thing, but it's worth seeing it.
For reasons.
Yeah.
Not
not
the same
because
reasons as Boy and the Beast.
Exactly.
Anyway.
But so it's crazy warm out, and it's biking season finally. I think I'm going to bike to work tomorrow.
I'm in a new office where the biking situation is not fixed yet, but my boss was like, I'm going to take a project and fix that. So I guess I got to wait for the old bikes and buildings.
Yeah, my old company kept saying that. They never fixed it.
Well, apparently this building used to have a bike rack in the basement, but it's under construction now and like renovating and shit.
Oh.
So when it finishes, that might resolve. But my coworker who bikes, he tied his bike up outside the office.
I would do that if my company gave me in writing something that said they will buy me a brand new bike of equivalent quality if my bike gets stolen any number of times if it's stolen while I'm working.
So, but when I just left the office with him. I was in the elevator. We walked out.
And his bike was gone?
His bike was right there in front of the building.
Yeah, I mean, I locked my bike up in Manhattan like 50 or 60 times before that one day it was gone, so...
I could buy a easier to carry lock. The lock I have is like way big.
Yeah, I know. I have one like pretty big lock, and then I have one crazy lock that I use like when I go to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I should buy like a normal size one with a cable attached to it. Yeah.
So anyway, I got some news. It's an animated movie. I'm not reviewing it now, but I'm gonna geek bite it briefly. In the Patreon, Emily and I are gonna do in the Rimley reviews a full review of it this weekend. But Zootopia is probably the best Disney movie in 20 years. And
20 years.
Yeah.
Let me see. What's happened? 20 years ago was 26.
Maybe
96?
Yeah.
You're going to go like, when did Lion King, Aladdin come out?
When did they come out? Probably before then. I've lost track of all that stuff because I'm
King
real
was
old.
94.
Yep. So, you know what? Better than Lion King?
Aladdin was 92.
Yep. All right. So Lion King, Aladdin are beyond the horizon.
All right. Disney movie since 96.
Since Aladdin and the Lion King. Let's see here. I got a list of every Disney movie. So let's see. 95. Toy Story was 95.
That's not 96.
Yeah. 96. James and the Giant Peach.
No.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hercules.
Well, I mean,
Hercules.
You got to go Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3.
All right. Toy Story 2.
All those other
other
Pixar movies.
Dinosaur. Ugh. So I really like The Emperor's New Groove.
I think that movie's overrated.
I think it's the best Disney movie other than Zootopia in that era.
What about...
Except maybe like Toy Story 2, 3. Lilo and Stitch was super good. All right. Might be better than Lilo and Stitch by a tiny hair. Get it? Anyway.
What else is down there?
Tales of Earth. Oh, that's Tales of Earth, the Ghibli. So Tangled was really good. Yeah. Mars Needs Moms, not gonna. Brave is pretty good. Wreck-It Ralph is pretty good. Frozen was okay. Actually, I almost well, I guess this is also mixing Pixar and Walt Disney Studios.
Well, I mean, isn't Zootopia a Pixar movie?
No, everyone keeps saying that. It's not.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's a Disney Studios movie.
So why is it all CG and not all 2D?
It's animated.
All right.
In fact, I think 90% of the people I've talked to about this movie have assumed it was Pixar incorrectly.
What other CG movies has Disney made that weren't Pixar?
Emily's shouting from the other room, correcting Scott heavily, but I digress. Zootopia is crazy good, and I would not say that lightly because I go into movies like this.
The trailer was funny.
Yeah. So, there's always the worry. If a trailer's pretty good like that, like, will the movie be as good or
usually
better?
you put your best joke in the trailer.
Yeah, the movie did far from that. So Zootopia exceeded my expectations in a way that I can name very few movies that have ever actually legitimately exceeded my expectations to that degree. And I already came in with pretty high ones. So what I'll say is that it deals with issues of discrimination very pointedly and in a surprisingly elegant and nuanced way. I am deeply impressed with this movie, and all I'm going to say is that you should definitely go see it if you haven't seen it already. Also, it appears to be on track to break some box office records. It's going crazy in the theater.
Well, there haven't been, a movie that got the kids out to the theater since, like, Frozen. Maybe.
So, funny, when we were at the theater, the audience was about a third families with kids on a Sunday, like, evening show.
And
the rest of it was
furries.
Yeah, and the rest of it was all adults like us.
Right. I mean, that's what's happening these days.
Yeah.
The kids' movie is going to get the most people in because you get the families and the nerds.
Well, a good dichotomy you'll see is there's those Equestria Girls movies that sometimes are in theaters. That's pretty much all little kids. But when the actual My Little Pony feature film comes out, pretty sure whenever I go to see it, it's going to be mostly people around my age in that theater.
Yeah, I'll go see that.
Yeah. Actually, based on...
I won't go see it in the theater, though. I'll get in DVD.
I might see it in the theater just because I want to see it early because, weebs are going to ruin it.
How are weebs going to ruin it?
By telling me everything about it.
How's that going to ruin it?
Yeah, you have your weird spoiler opinion that I still disagree with.
Uh-huh.
I'm not saying spoilers are the biggest deal in the world, but you take a somewhat narrow view of it. Anyway, go see Zootopia.
If something can be ruined by learning information, then it was not good in the first place.
No, but the experience is different the second time you see a movie. Why deny someone
it's
both
better
experiences?
when you know more.
Now, why not see it twice? And then you get both experiences. They are both different.
Because the first I could just learn everything about it and then see it, and it'll be a great experience, and I only had to waste my time once.
I guess if wasting your time is how you treat watching movies, then go nuts. Anyway, go see Zootopia. It is utterly fantastic and nuanced to a degree that I did not expect.
It's like if a food is delicious, right? Is it not delicious the first time and the second time is different?
There are very few movies that I watch more than 3 or 4 times, but I eat ice cream hundreds and hundreds of times in my life.
Was the ice cream spoiled that the second time you ate it?
It was a different experience because the first time I had never experienced that before. So there's
was
that
it
sort
more
of tongue
or less
orgasm.
delicious the second time?
I don't have a tongue orgasm the 100th time I ate ice cream, but I probably had one the first time.
No, I'm pretty sure I had tongue orgasm every time.
I still disagree with you. Anyway, do you have any news? Since the reason we have to review Zootopia on the Patreon is because you're probably not going to see it.
Why would I go to the movie theater to see that?
You don't see any movies anymore.
I see a lot of movies. I watched every Zatoichi movie.
Yeah, you watch a lot of old movies.
That's 26 movies to your one movie.
Well, then maybe you should do a Patreon and review them all.
Maybe I shouldn't because it's not worth paying money for.
Let your
you can
watch all
watch all the Zatoichi movies on Hulu for $0. You should do that.
I'm curious how many of you would pay $1 to listen to Scott review all the Zatoichi movies.
Stupid people.
All right.
If you got $1 for that, you should just invest the $1. There's a website I went to today that says
Scott,
if you
investing $1 will make you rounding $0 over your entire life.
That is correct. However, I went to a website today that said if you invested $1 every day of your life, how much would you have invested? Because how many days have you lived? And how much would that be now? And if I had done that, I would have spent like $12,000 and I would have about $55,000 right now.
Yeah, but $1, that's just like $30 a month. That's what most people are putting away into like their 401ks because they don't have a lot of money.
I'm putting a lot more than $30 a month in the 401k.
Well, most people are putting that little
I'm
away.
putting in the maximum
allowed. Putting them in IRAs.
The maximum allowed percentage.
Anyway, do you have any animation or comic news?
Yeah, so speaking of Hulu, where you can watch all 26, 25 Zatoichi movies, you can also watch, they put it on there like less than a week ago, all 25 or 26 episodes of Azumanga Daioh.
I can watch that show again.
I watched 2 episodes, and that show's still good. But you know what? It's kind of weird, because compared to my memory, it's the exact same show, except for 2 things. Number 1, something being in a non-widescreen aspect ratio and like 480 not P.
Non-widescreen is a lot like laugh tracks now to my modern sensibilities.
Not P at all, and some of the drawings are not. They looked really good back then, but now it's like there's some definite bad drawings.
I had that problem the other day when because the new Powerpuff Girls is coming, and I watched one of the shorts they did. And it was great, so I went back and watched one of my favorite old episodes of the Powerpuff Girls. And it was good. But it was weird to see something so low res and in a square, effectively.
Yeah, by the way, in the new Powerpuff Girls trailer, it is confirmed the most important thing that makes me know that show's gonna be good as the old one at least, is that him.
Of course, him
was there.
Him is the best part of the Powerpuff
I wasn't
Girls.
sure they were gonna keep him.
Well, the
around.
second best part. The best part is that the professor's kind of a doofus.
Him is still in.
Yeah.
So that's what we need to know. Oh, so yeah. The other thing about Azumanga Daioh, besides the square shape, is that show is really disjointed. I mean, it was always based on like the 4-panel comics, but it's like the episodes just like way more. They were always all over the place, but they're even more all over the place than I remember.
I guess that's kind of what I remember and expected. Of course, I have also
everything else is still true. Like the drunk teacher's the best, and et cetera.
Osaka with that knife.
Yeah.
Or when she's in the bathroom, constantly like, get it together.
Oh my God! I just remember that.
Get it together. Get it together.
I just remember that screensaver we had where I was like walking around the CG room doing stuff.
Yep. we had that on both our computers at our IT for a long time. Good days.
Maybe I can find that and run it. Will it run on Windows 10?
I think the other reason that I'm not surprised by the disjointedness, or I guess like I don't think that would be something that I would have forgotten and then go, oh, right, is that I basically watched all of Nichijou, which does the same thing. And I also really like Nichijou. It's kind of in the same genre.
I only
as
watched
Daioh.
like 2 episodes of Nichijou, and I didn't see any goats getting somersault.
You should
slammed,
watch
so
all of Nichijou.
I couldn't even tell what was going on in the 2 episodes I watched.
They're pretty straightforward short narratives. It's usually something like
they don't like introduce the characters though. So I'm just like, who the hell is this?
Yeah, because Star Wars did such a great job of introducing all the characters.
Azumanga Daioh does a good job of introducing the characters.
Because it has more of an overarching.
The very first scene is they show after the teacher crashes or drops her chain off her bike, and they get to the classroom. They show you each person and show you their name on the screen, and it's like Tomo-chan, the crazy one. Genius, prodigy, Geo-chan, right? They tell you who each person is, and then the second episode is just an introduction of Osaka. That's the whole second episode is Osaka only.
Things of the day. Emily found this last night, and it's
that's
really,
good because she's better at finding things than
really,
you.
really, really good. So, Redline was an amazing movie. We reviewed it on GeekNights some time ago. It's one of my favorite anime movies. Like, the more I think about
it's pretty good.
It's that kind of weird movie that I like that is not
I only
like a lot
watched
of
it
other
once.
things.
I feel like I should watch it one more time because
It's a movie I feel like I could watch Matrix level number of times and never get tired of it.
I don't know if I watched it that many times.
I
but
could.
I should watch The Matrix when I get home.
So this is an AMV to Redline.
Isn't the whole thing an AMV to begin with? Is it really necessary to make an AMV out of it?
Well, this AMV does
That's like
very
you make
good
it
job.
Interstellar 555 AMV.
Well,
so
there's 2 fundamental kinds of AMVs on this level. There's the AMV that just takes the aesthetic of a show and does something with it, and there's an AMV that retells the show or retells the movie with the backdrop of music, almost like a summary. This is more like the latter kind, so if you've never seen Redline, go watch Redline first, and then watch this AMV. It's one of those AMVs that reminds you how fucking amazing Redline is.
Just watch Oh Baby Baby.
Yeah. Because that actually doesn't really spoil anything significant about Utena.
Even if it does, but you wouldn't understand what you're seeing.
It's more like
you wouldn't know what the fuck you're seeing.
It's more like it hints at, whoa, the show goes way off the rails down the road, guys.
And also, it's got some Sega Saturn action. So like you see someone fighting, and like they're gonna duel, and they might not.
Nah.
Anyway, the thing of the day. Right. So someone made this funny video, Cowboy Beep Boop.
Beep boop.
Beep Boop. It's a little funny, kind of like retelling of an early episode of Cowboy Bebop, the one with the ventriloquist dummy that's like alive but is a person but isn't, or whatever, or the kid who looks like one but's old but's young. You should see that episode. It's actually one of the, I think, not as good episodes of Cowboy Bebop.
I would agree with that.
But here, I mean, not that, even the worst episode of Cowboy Bebop is great. Like, other people don't like the chess one. I like that one.
Well, it has the problem of that it's in that twilight zone between the first episode and the 5th episode that everyone goes, oh shit, and then
it's
gets
in
obsessed.
the twilight zone between Cowboy Bebop and Batman the Animated Series. But someone retells that episode in like a few seconds with this quirky little, not even animation, like animatic almost, just some pencil drawings and some voiceover.
It's
and
pretty
whatnot.
good.
And it's still way funny. It's like a GIF plus plus. It's worth your 10 seconds of time. Beep boop.
In the meta moment, the book club book is probably going to be Oryx and Crake, Margaret Atwood. So stay tuned. I haven't announced it yet.
Still, you got no good ideas of your own. You're stealing my ideas.
I got that idea from Emily and Adam and Kate, not from you.
I got the idea because I kept hearing Margaret Atwood's name like 100 times. And
Yeah,
I'm like,
from
well,
Emily
and
and Adam and Kate.
more people than that, but yes, them also.
Who else? Name one other human being who brought that book up in
Someone
your
on
presence.
internet.
Just someone
Some
on the
internet person.
Some guy on the internet.
I saw some tweets or something. Plus, there was that video where she was a hockey goalie.
Yeah, which was my thing of the day.
That's fine. Doesn't matter. I kept hearing it a bunch, and I said, all right, next book club book I get, I'm picking one of your books. And then you come in picking one of her books. Now I got to find something else.
Pick a different one of her books.
We're not doing the same author twice in a row.
Why not?
That's not allowed.
Why not? I'll just do every Prince of Nothing book one by one.
No, we got to spread some love. Love must be spread wide.
But I haven't announced it officially
Not saying
yet.
she doesn't deserve 2 picks. I'm saying no one deserved 2 picks.
Because I kind of started the 11th book of the Wheel of Time, and I'm finding out more about what Randall Tor is up to. I guess spoilers, he's still alive?
You don't say.
Yeah.
The main character lives to all the books, and he only can die in the last one?
Actually, is anyone? No, so I haven't read the end, so this is not a spoiler.
If you're a main character, you can't die until the end of the book, the final book. That's how things work.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, really? Okay.
So,
Matt's dead is what you're saying?
it's not a spoiler because, he died and then...
Came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But anyway, it's not a spoiler because I didn't read the end yet and I don't know what happens. I'm pretty sure Luz Theron in his head will die and Rand will not. And that's the thing that's going to happen at the end.
Or Rand will die and Luz Theron will.
Yeah, Luz Theron's kind of a dick.
That's my guy.
Yeah, you
The really powerful dick, dude. That's my favorite guy. That's always the best character. The really powerful jerk, right? Or like the legendary, whoa, that guy's so strong, right? Like in One Piece, you don't give a shit about Luffy.
Okay, Scott,
Red Shanks is the man.
There's a character.
Or who's the pirate that's in the opener who actually found the One Piece and hid it? That guy.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best guy, right?
You will like, there's this one character, I don't know what book she comes in, her name's like Codswine or something, but she's an Aes Sedai who's super fucking old. So old that everyone thought she was dead, and apparently she's one of the heroes of legends.
Yeah.
So she comes back.
Like she was friends with the King of Mantheron, who's also a badass?
Not that old, but
okay.
But basically she comes back and every Aes Sedai is like, holy shit, and they're afraid of her.
Yeah,
and she
you
goes
should
up to
be.
Rand al'Thor, basically punches in the face, and be like, listen, you shithead.
That's
Here's
right.
what's up.
Yeah. You go, old lady.
Yeah. That's in like book 7 or 6. I don't even know. It all just blurs together.
Yoda's pretty good. Right? Badasses. No one wants your lame ass, weak asses.
Otherwise, stay tuned on the Patreon for me and Emily's Rimley review of Zootopia.
Or save your money and don't.
We're going to be at ZenkaCon.
Rim's still going to make those things if you don't pay. So if you all stop paying, he'll just have to make those things public.
No, I probably just wouldn't make them.
He would still make them.
Nah, probably not.
He can't help himself.
Scott, it's warm outside.
You're not going to make any. That's the other thing. You keep paying in the summer, you're not going to get your money's worth.
You know what you'll get every day? Every day,
You're gonna get
GoPro
nothing.
video. GoPro video of me biking to work.
You're gonna get nothing for your money in the summer. Stop pay. Even if you're dumb enough to pay, don't pay until it gets cold again.
But we should be at Anime Boston. We should be
I guess we're going.
Yep, we're doing our usual gamut of panels.
Well, we'll eat secret breakfast.
Yep, we'll be doing a ZenkaiCon, or at least I will. Scott probably will.
I gotta check tomorrow. I'm gonna check my work days off thing. Not that I don't have.
I'm not taking a day off. I'm going Friday after work.
I'm saying not that I don't have enough days off. It's just, am I going to use them?
Scott,
have I entered them?
I'm not taking Friday off. I'm going Friday after work. I'm coming back Sunday.
What a waste of. All right, I'll see.
I'm just gonna eat Amish food one day and be really drunk and surly the next day, and then go home.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Anthony and Chris will be there, and Russ and everyone. So just board games, board games the whole time.
Maybe I'll bring my board game.
Yeah. PAX East will be doing Atari game design. One of our most recent lectures, designing game rules, which people really seem to like this one. And actually, I watched it because I had to edit it. It's a pretty good panel. Like we did a good job. I'm proud of it. It's in the top 10 panels we've done.
We did a better job of it at MagFest, though.
Yeah, and I think we didn't record it there because we were like, yeah, we already videoed it. Who cares?
We're just too lazy.
Yeah, laziness is a big part of that. But it's up on YouTube. You can watch it.
There's no point in posting the same panel twice.
I've posted the same panel twice a few times if we've crooked it enough.
Quick did enough.
Yeah.
Mega time, Mega 2, Mega T, Mega
I mean,
2.
Beyond D&D's up twice because it evolved a lot between those early times and when we did it at PAX Aus. So our man Mamoru Hosoda continues to bat 1,000. Now,
If you don't know who Mamoru Hosoda is, right? This is a guy who directed a bunch of animes, and he sort of got really going with his Digimon movie.
Yep.
Right?
We've
and then his
reviewed-
One Piece movie.
we've reviewed most of the feature films he has ever done.
I don't think we reviewed Girl Who Leapt Through Time.
I'm pretty sure we did. If we didn't, I did.
Because I don't think I've seen it.
I saw it with... You know what? Emily and I can review it then on the Patreon.
And I don't think... did he do the Wolf Children? Or is that
Yeah,
someone?
here was Wolf Children.
I didn't see that one either.
You didn't see Wolf Children?
No.
The
And
fuck,
then
Scott?
we saw Summer Wars.
Yeah, which was 3 years before Wolf Children.
Yeah. And what else did he do besides Boy and the Beast, which we're talking about today?
One Piece, Baron Omatsuri,
I
and
talked
the
about.
Secret Islands.
I mentioned that already. We reviewed that.
Yeah. I think he did the anime opening. Samurai Champloo, he did something with the opening.
I mean, that doesn't. I'm talking about like movies he's made. He's a movie guy now, right?
Well, if you're
In
talking
fact,
movies,
he didn't come to New York because he's already working on another movie. He's like cranking them out.
Well, Scott, if you're talking movies, the only other thing really in there is that Super Flat Monogram, which isn't really a movie, it's just a short.
No, it's not really. Okay, so that's all his movies. So
Yeah.
his new movie is that's out is The Boy and the Beast. You can see it in theaters in the U.S. now.
Every one of his movies has been on a trajectory of increasingly furry, and the trend has continued. Girl Left Through Time, 0.
He has
Summer
not-
Wars, the girls of Kitsune in the magic space. Wolf Children, yep. Boy and the Beast, yep.
This wasn't his movie. What was that movie? It was like a fantasy furries, but not, perverted ones. And there was like that ballerina animal, and there was like an adventure thing.
You're thinking of...
I'm not imagining this, right?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I think it was one of those ones where someone goes to another world.
Yeah.
What?
Brave Story.
Oh, yeah, okay, that one. It had aspects of Hosoda-ness in it, whoever made it. Anyway.
But yeah, Mamoru Hosoda is batting 1,000 in the sense that while not every movie he has made has been a home run, batting 1,000 just means you hit every ball.
Yeah, it's like every movie you make is a really good movie worth seeing.
Yep. So the TLDR
Some
version,
better than others.
like we said, this is an anime movie. It came out recently. It's really good, and you should definitely go see it if you care at all about anime or animation. If you happen to like Wolf Children, Summer Wars, The Girl Who Leapt Through Time, you should really go see this movie because it is, in his fashion, like the kinds of things he's done before.
Yeah, it's like there's some people like Miyazaki or Satoshi Kon where every time they get up to the plate, home run. Mamoru Hosoda, it's like every time he gets up to the plate, he hits. Sometimes home run, sometimes just a double.
I think Satoshi Kon is the only anime director to have literally only hit home runs.
I think so. Even Miyazaki has sometimes hit non-home runs.
Well, you said Miyazaki, which could include Goro.
No, not that one.
Yeah.
The good one. Right?
Poor
And
Goro.
Tezuka is just the guy with so many at-bats that
Yup.
even though he strikes out sometimes, his total numbers, he's like Cal,
Ambassador
he's like,
Magma or
he's
whatever.
like Cal Ripken, right? He just keeps playing baseball, right?
Yeah. But yeah, so The Boy and the Beast is actually 2 hours long.
Yeah, so this movie is like way long, but on the one hand, it's like you think something that's so long will get drawn out, but no. Like the pacing was like the biggest thing I noticed and the first thing I thought of when it was over because it keeps moving along. There's no point at which it drags. There was a part where I thought it was going to like
Yup.
suddenly become, there's like this major point in the movie where it's like, okay, now we're going on a quest to visit all the Beast Kings and all the different Beast Kingdoms.
But bam,
But
montage.
bam, it was a montage. They just breezed right over that, and I'm like, they
Now
just
that
and then
is exactly like Brave Story.
and at first I thought it was going to just be a traveling montage, but no, they montaged over every single right through all the Beast Kings, and I'm like, whoa,
now that is
they're
actually
moving right along here.
We'll avoid spoilers at least till the end because it's an anime movie. Just go see it. But the one thing I will say is this movie, the trailers and all the stuff I saw up to this point, didn't really tell you shit about what it was about.
No, I couldn't think.
And that's a good thing because it covers some ground.
Yeah, it's like it keeps moving along at this pace and where you're not dragging on any one part for too long, right? And just when I think this thing's like it's heading to the climax part, like 75% of the way through. I didn't know how far we were in, right? But it felt like, okay, here's the climax, the thing we've been waiting for since the beginning, the battle to see who's going to be the new Lord of the Beast Kingdom. Here it is. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's like this big thing that is an obvious foreshadow. There's a Chekhov's gun that hasn't fired that has nothing to do with this.
Chekhov's whale, Moby Dick.
Yeah, there's a Chekhov's character who hasn't resolved their deal, and it won't be resolved in this climax part. And movie's been going on for a long time now,
and
right?
And unlike less well-constructed movies, that Chekhov's character's gun, like that character...
It almost felt like something that would be resolved in another episode or another movie later, and not this movie. And I hadn't looked at a clock, but it felt like it'd been going on so long. I'm like, it's got to end now, but no. They kept going after that climax and fired that Chekhov's character and had the real climax after that.
And that character...
There's one more act.
A less well-done movie would have had a lot more telegraphing of what that was all going to be about. This one had a few context clues, and mostly it was Chekhov's background.
Like, I don't know.
gun.
Yeah, I don't know how many acts there were, but at the end of the second to last act, there was the climax, and then the final act, I didn't even know was going to happen. I thought that second to last act was the last one.
But like in a bad movie, that like the character's holding the gun. This was more like in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, where the gun is on the mantle in the background. You can see it there, but no one's saying anything about it.
Yep. All right, so the deal with this movie, there's a boy and there's a beast. And the beast is Awesome Beast.
Yep.
Right?
He's from the land of beasts.
The beast is basically Toshiro Mifune from Seven Samurai.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, right?
Both in mannerism, in every aspect of this person.
Right. And he's in the Beast Kingdom, and he's competing to become the new Lord of the Beast Kingdom when the super awesome current Lord of the Beast Kingdom, who's the best character in the movie.
Oh my god, that rabbit.
He's basically the grandma from Summer Wars. He's got to compete against the also awesome but opposite personality beast, who's like a sort of a boar, right?
Yeah, who is neat, tidy, organized, a good person in every possible aspect.
Yeah, the other the lead samurai in the Seven Samurai, right?
Yeah.
I forget his name, but he's in a lot of Kurosawa movies. But anyway, so they're going to compete to become, the new Lord of the Beast Kingdom. But anyway,
so independently, next to all this
is
Tokyo,
Japan, modern day Japan,
and a kid runs away from home.
Well, so the kid doesn't just run away from home, right? His parents are dead. He's living with like some some like mom's parents or something.
But his family's rich.
Sure, but it's a family he doesn't like that doesn't like him, right? It's almost a what the hell was that anime that's good but then becomes perverted? What is it? One with the...
That still doesn't narrow it down.
No, there's the girl who's like grandpa's daughter and he adopts her.
We did. We reviewed it at Anime Boston.
Yeah.
And in the end, they sex.
Well, yeah, but that's in the manga, and I stopped watching.
Bunny drop.
Bunny drop, right? It's like
spoilers. They sex.
Yeah, it's a bunny drop situation without the sex part, right? Only he runs away from home instead of living with this family that doesn't really care about him that much.
Yep.
They seem to want to take care of him. They're like, oh, you'll be taken care of and whatever, but it doesn't seem like there's any love or caring in that relationship, right?
So he runs away and has a little bit of personal drama around that in shades of perhaps Ursula K. Le Guin novel.
So he stumbles into the Beast Kingdom.
Because it's just on the other side of an alley from Tokyo.
Yeah, and the Beast Kingdom is a metaphorical kingdom, but it's also a totally literal kingdom. It's a literal place.
Now that is actually, literally, my favorite part of this movie.
Yeah, you thought you could have easily done this. We're like, oh, it's a hallucination. Oh, it's what's the movie with the guy in the boat with the tiger?
Life of Pi?
Yeah, where the whole thing's a metaphor and he wasn't really on a boat with a tiger, right?
One could argue that he was.
Sure, right. Metaphorical tiger.
Yeah, but
this is literally, yes, there is a Beast Kingdom and a real Tokyo of modern day, and they both really exist for real.
And Hosoda goes out of his way to make sure you cannot interpret this as anything but this is the literal reality. Now,
you can't be like, oh, the Beast Kingdom was just like a dream for like, and it was a metaphor for the orphanage he was in or something. It's like, no, there was a Beast Kingdom. He was raised by this beast, right? He was the beast's, what's it called? Student. Yeah.
You're forgetting words tonight.
Yeah, words. It's warm out. I'm not thinking about being in here doing a podcast.
But instead of like it is literally the reality, but that literal reality of this animated world is itself heavy allegory.
The word wasn't student, it was apprentice, right?
Yeah.
The beast needs apprentices to, like, you know, become the lord of beasts, which he wants to be for some reason. That's the one part that's confusing. Like, why does he want to be the lord of beasts? Just
You feel like he wants to be because he's expected to want to be, and because he doesn't want to get shown up.
Yeah, I think it's mostly he just wants to fight the other guy and win. I don't think he actually wants to be the lord of the beasts. And no one else seems to want him to be either. The other guy would actually probably be a better lord.
Except at the same time, they're also kind of into him. You know, it's interesting. The Beast World, basically perfect.
Yeah, basically.
Like, no one appears to want for anything. Everyone's happy all the time, as far as you can tell.
It's almost a Miyazaki thing, right? Where like the place that is low tech is and you know is all traditional, is all happy and peaceful.
Yeah.
And you know, it's sort of like a Dr. Seuss thing too. It's like, oh yeah, the place with the factory that eats up all the tuffula trees is bad, and the place, you know, same deal.
Yeah, but at the same time,
The beast mode that's a magic land is all happy and perfect.
The kid's life is...
And the human world has darkness.
Yeah. Well, humans...
And cell phones.
Because humans have darkness inherent in them, and beasts do not have similar inherent darkness.
Right. But I guess the human world has light if in the library. The library is a nice place in the human world.
Nah. But it's hard to without... Because this movie covers so much ground, you really should just see it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to get into why it's important that the human world and the beast world are both literal realities and how that ties into Moby
But pretty
Dick.
much what you can expect from this movie is, you know, the awesome sort of general apprentice adventure kind of thing with, you know, the apprentice being better than the master in some ways and whatnot, learning, you know, but the master, while being goofy, is also, you know, wise in other ways, right? You know, pretty typical expected sort of relationship there, you know, growing up thing. But then once grown up, you know, resolving of plots that were there since, you know, the beginning part. And it's like, aha, it wasn't just the grow up end of movie. You're grown up now. Congratulations. It was, you grew up, now you can do the quest, and we have time, so we're going to fucking do it.
Yeah. So the movie is, despite also being very serious and having very heavy allegory, that, full disclosure, might be a little too close to home for some people in the audience.
Oh.
It is also legitimately outright hilarious at points. It is a really funny movie. And it's the humor is,
and they
mostly...
don't stop the humor until that very final act, right? Right up, even that climax I talked about in the second to last act still has humors in it.
But it's clever. Like, the humor reminds me actually of a lot of those Mifune type samurai movies that like that kind of humor. A lot of it is
a lot of the humor comes from the monkey guy and the monk.
Well,
right?
like, there's the moment
then,
where he's like, what should I call you? Well, you're 9 years old, right? I'll call you cute. Like,
right.
Because you're 9.
And there's also these three sort of, like, beast guys that are sort of like these side characters, like double side characters, but they're basically the exact same characters as the three old guys in Cowboy Beep Boop.
Yep.
Right?
100%.
And they provide some humorous interjections as well, right?
But there's clever humor constantly.
And the Beast Lord is never not funny. Yeah. He's pretty much 100% funny.
I mean, everyone's great. The movie is just delightful.
Well, there's not a lot of humor in the human world. It's not a funny place.
True.
It's a place where kids are orphaned, right?
But the overall, what I guess, you know, the whole literal reality of it, what makes the movie go from just being really enjoyable and delightful to being, I think, a really good movie is that the allegory is very well presented, and the allegory primarily has to do with, you know, nature versus nurture to a degree. Who is your family? You know, the combination of blood versus who raised you. What is the what is the relationship with an estranged family member? Perhaps how do you start that up? How do you carry the memory of perhaps lost family members in your heart, and how does that change you as a person? How do you show compassion to people who had a different upbringing that left darkness in their heart?
Right.
Literal darkness in this case that turns into psychic death powers.
It also covers the same topics that like 50% of Japanese movies I've seen cover, which is like, should you live as you've been expected to live by your parents in society, or live your own life and taking tests?
Yeah.
And all those sorts of things, right? You know, should you be that, you know, person who has all your shit together, or should you be that wild person, you know, who lets loose?
Yep. And it very elegantly takes all these different allegorical threads and weaves them together into one story.
One coherent story,
Yeah,
not one
with-
all over the place story.
Like a really coherent story. Like it comes around full circle in the end. Almost shockingly because of how long it was and how many threads it opened. It's kind of amazing to see them all collapse back together.
Yep. The animations are like top tier.
Oh, those fights, the fight scenes.
Right. The only thing I got to say, though, is all the animations were the top tier. I say some of the drawings, like the backgrounds, were the second tier because, like, for example, the clouds, they're not, they're not the top tier clouds, right? We know
You're
makes...
thinking of what? Certain centimeters per second clouds?
We know who makes the best clouds,
Place
right?
Promise No Early Days clouds?
These are the second best clouds, all right? But yeah, the animation is still incredible, right? It's looks like they drew it with computers, but it's still 2D. It's not CGs in any way, right? So
Are you looking for these clouds?
Yeah,
These Makoto Shinkai clouds right there. Look at that one.
The real
Yeah.
clouds, right? Yeah. So, it's pretty much, the best 2D animations you're going to see from Japan. It doesn't look like a Ghibli movie, but it looks as good as it's going to be, just in a different style than Ghibli style, right?
I did really enjoy the style because of the Beast World, and they did with the humans
And
too.
the Beast World and the human world have totally different styles, right? And totally different colors.
But
right?
every character,
The human world is totally dark, usually. And they don't really go to the human world a lot during daytime. Very rarely do they go to the human world during daytime, and usually it's like really tight shots, so it'll be, poorly lit, or like you'll see the sun going down. And in the Beast World, it seems like it's just like always daytime. You don't see a lot of night shots.
You
in the
do see
Beast
some
World,
night shots, though.
but it's
not-
usually indoors with candles and stuff and lights on in the Beast World at night. You don't see a lot of like dark places in the Beast World. They're not going around in caves
Yep.
or anything like that, right?
Every
Even when it
character-
becomes nighttime, it's like a well-lit festival kind of atmosphere all the time and bright colors.
But that style led him. Every single character is deeply distinct, both in personality and appearance, which actually lets the characters be very strong, which actually is one of the things that really pushes the movie forward and prevents it from sort of, for a movie this long with this kind of subject matter, like Scott said, it feels like it's on the edge of dragging every second, and then it always steers right away from the cliff.
You feel like something's going to be dragging out, but they don't. And another reason they can avoid dragging is usually they'd be like, a lot of movies will like have unexplained things, right? This movie just bothers not to make things questionable, so they're not left unexplained. For example, you just go to this Beast World, right? In another movie, you might think, how is the Beast World and the human world connected? I need to know more about this. This doesn't make a lot of sense. But in this movie, it's like beasts and humans just go back and forth. It's like a physical tunnel. You just have to walk through it or something, whatever. And you're not questioning that, right? It's just there. And it's not like a mystery. Ooh. So because it's not a mystery, you don't need to dedicate any time to explaining it. You just show it happening and you're done.
Yep.
Right. And by doing it does that with like a whole bunch of different things, so that you only things you're thinking about are like these core plots that they're going to spend actually, dedicate seconds of, film to. So
if I had any complaint about this movie at all, it would be that the dialogue in the fourth fifth of the movie, like before the climax, but kind of so after the fight and the sort of big like game-changing moving to the end of the movie event, and the actual end, there's this middle part where a lot of characters spend a lot of time sort of explaining things to each other. And that is the only time in the movie where it sort of did the characters talking as opposed to just showing you something and letting you be smart enough to figure it out.
And there's a lot of it felt like a lot of the things they were saying didn't matter, or they were repeating the same
Well,
things
that was it.
to each
Multiple
other.
people complained that, the dub must have been a bad script because the characters kept repeating themselves and were saying sort of inane or obvious things.
We didn't see the dub, by the way.
Yes, but I saw that sentiment from multiple people.
Oh, it has been dubbed, so if you see it in the US, it might be dubbed?
Yep.
Okay,
But
I didn't know that.
at least in the subtitled version that we saw, those same scenes, just as draggy, kind of pointless dialogue.
Right, like he sees the girl in the library, and then he sees her again, and I think he sees her I can't even remember how many times, but they pretty much, what feels like they had the same conversation every time, right?
Yeah.
It didn't feel like they were advancing much, other than, okay, they saw each other again. Okay.
But yet the movie did other aspects, like the other 4/5 of the movie they really did a good job of showing and not having a character explain it. Like the Chekhov's gun character, who is obviously a human, but nothing is said about that. The character is just doing his thing. And then there's one scene where that character is older, and his brother is like futzing with his tusk because he was a boar and he has this big old tusk. He's just kind of futzing with it. And it cuts to him, and he's kind of covering his mouth with a scarf. And that told you literally everything you needed to know about the characters, their interactions, the gun. Chekhov is hanging out there in that tooth. And then in the rest of the movie, it was characters explaining to you where the guns were and when they were going to go off and why.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, yeah, I mean, if this is playing anywhere near you, go see it. If not, it'll be on DVD way soon, probably. You can see that.
And you should definitely see it.
It'll probably be streaming somewhere, right? You got within the year, everyone listening to this will be able to see this movie pretty without much difficulty. And it's worth your 2 hours of time to do so.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geek Nights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geek Nights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.
The patrons for this episode of Geek Nights are, in order of the amount of money they give us on a continuing basis: Nicholas Brandau, Rebecca Dunn, John R. Nobbs II, Amanda Duchette, James David White, Christian Kuntz, Jess, Mechanical Mind, William Eisenrose, Jeremy Miner. You expected the next name to be yours, but it was me, Dio. Sean Yeager, Clinton Walton, MyStady.com, Ren from New Zealand, Robert Lee, Ryan Perrin, Drew Openlander, Rare Lavelle, Brian Cedroni, Rochelle Montanova, Finn Eric Silverrod, Can't Melt Steel Beams, Kinetic Man, Aaron Cerise, Chris Midkiff, Chris Knox, Trump Cruise 2016. I've thought carefully and I'm still going to pay. Daniel Redman, Chris Haddad, Sean Klein, Chris Reimer, and Thomas Hahn. Usually, many of you will comment on my choice of odd things to put at the end, or will at least point out to me, either directly or on Twitter or in the forum or something, that you were one of the lucky few who recognized where it came from, what it was, what I was referencing. Last several, no one said anything about, so I'm just curious, do any of you know what any of the last 3 weird things I put at the end of the show were? Or have I actually gone beyond the event horizon from which even you will never stumble upon these things on your own? But anyway, that aside, I'm going to do just a weird, fun thing, because you guys seem, at least some of you are really into changing your names to mess with me in the Patreon manager. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a Patreon thing either tonight or tomorrow. And it'll be a form. It'll be like the Q&A, but it'll be totally separate. And just put some number of words, hopefully a small number. If you put too many words in there, I will just ignore them. And I will probably just read everything you've submitted in order that you submitted them from start to finish. I'm going to figure out exactly what the details of this are going to be, and we'll see how amazingly dumb this is. And now I leave you with something particularly odd.
Starring Mark Hamill, who's back from Star Wars. Oh, yeah! And Annie Potts, who's out of this world.
You're gonna spend the night. Comprende, amigo?
If he knew as much about girls as he does about cars, he wouldn't be so nervous.
Peel off them duds, sailor, and let me see what you got.
Sure. And if she knew as much about cars as she does about boys,
What do you drink?
she wouldn't be so jealous.
Motor oil?
And if you knew as much as they know about this candy apple metal flake Corvette, you'd be chasing it too.
I'm helping you, dope. I'm helping you find your car.
You run up against a car thief, you're liable to wind up at the bottom of Lake Mead. He's into fast cars.
Why don't you write a letter to the car? Dear car.
She's into black velvet.
Beg your pardon?
I mean, wow! Together, they find love.
You have no right to take me anywhere!
Excitement. And danger.
Ah!
trail of a stolen Corvette.
Thing, but it's worth seeing it.
For reasons.
Yeah,
Not,
just
the
not
same
because it's
reasons as Boy and the Beast.
exactly.
Anyway.
But yeah, so it's crazy warm out and it's biking season finally. I think I'm gonna bike to work tomorrow.
I'm in a new office where the biking situation is not fixed yet, but my boss was like, I'm going to take a project and fix that. So I guess I got to wait for the old bikes and buildings.
Yeah, my old company kept saying that. They never fixed it.
Well, apparently this building used to have a bike rack in the basement, but it's under construction now and like renovating and shit.
Oh.
So when it finishes, that might resolve. But my coworker who bikes, he tied his bike up outside the office.
I would do that if my company gave me in writing something that said they will buy me a brand new bike of equivalent quality if my bike gets stolen any number of times if it's stolen while I'm working.
So, but when I just left the office with him. I was in the elevator. We walked out.
And his bike was gone?
His bike was right there in front of the building.
Yeah, I mean, I locked my bike up in Manhattan like 50 or 60 times before that one day it was gone. So I guess this is also mixing Pixar and Walt Disney Studios.
Well, I mean, isn't Zootopia a Pixar movie?
No, everyone keeps saying that. It's not.
Okay, that's interesting.
It's a Disney Studios movie.
So why is it all CG and not all 2D?
It's animated.
All right.
In fact, I think 90% of the people I've talked to about this movie have assumed it was Pixar incorrectly.
What other CG movies has Disney made that weren't Pixar?
Emily's shouting from the other room, correcting Scott heavily, but I digress. Zootopia is crazy good, and I would not say that lightly because I go into movies like this.
Trailer was funny.
Yeah. So, there's always the worry if a trailer's pretty good like that, like, will the movie be as good?
Well,
or
usually
better?
you put your best joke in the trailer.
Yeah, the movie did far from that. So Zootopia exceeded my expectations in a way that I can name very few movies that have ever actually legitimately exceeded my expectations to that degree. And I already came in with pretty high ones. So what I'll say is that it deals.
Give a easier to carry lock. The lock I have is like way big.
Yeah, I know. I have one like pretty big lock, and then I have one crazy lock that I use like when I go to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I should buy like a normal size one with a cable attached to it. Yeah.
So anyway, I got some news. It's an animated movie. I'm not reviewing it now, but I'm gonna geek bite it briefly. In the Patreon, Emily and I are gonna do in the Rimley reviews a full review of it this weekend. But Zootopia is probably the best Disney movie in 20 years. And
20 years.
Yeah.
Let me see. What's happened? 20 years ago was 26.
Maybe
96?
Yeah.
You're going to go like, when did Lion King, Aladdin come out?
When did they come out? Probably before then. I've lost track of all that stuff
Lion
because I'm
King
real
was
old.
94.
Yep. So, you know what? Better than Lion King?
Aladdin was 92.
Yep. All right. So Lion King, Aladdin are beyond the horizon.
All right. Disney movie since 96.
Since Aladdin and the Lion King. Let's see here. I got a list of every Disney movie. It's Wednesday, March 9th, 2016. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. It's warm out, and tonight we are reviewing Mamoru Hosoda's The Boy and the Beast.
Beasts.
Let's do this. And TLDR version, we're going to tell you to go see it, but the review will get into more detail, I guess.
When have we ever said for an anime movie, don't go see it?
Yeah, I mean, the anime movies we'd tell you not to go see are the ones that we either didn't watch or we don't talk about.
Or we're not going to watch.
Yeah. There aren't that many bad anime movies that I've seen. Well, I guess there are. I mean, we never did like Harmageddon or Doom Megalopolis, I guess.
I won't necessarily tell you not to watch them.
Actually, I was talking to multiple people about both of those anime recently, and in all these conversations, the end result was basically, it's kind of like Apocalypse Zero. May not be the greatest. So let's see, 95. Toy Story was 95.
That's not 96.
Yeah, 96, James and the Giant Peach.
No.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hercules.
Well, I mean,
Hercules.
You got to go Toy Story 2, Toy Story 3.
All right. Toy Story 2.
All
Zootopia's
those other
it.
Pixar movies.
Dinosaur. Ugh. So I really like The Emperor's New Groove.
I think that movie's overrated.
I think it's the best Disney movie other than Zootopia in that era.
What about...
Except maybe like Toy Story 2, 3. Lilo and Stitch was super good. All right. Might be better than Lilo and Stitch by a tiny hair. Get it? Anyway.
What else is
Bye.
down there?
Tales of Earth. Oh, that's Tales of Earth, the Ghibli. So Tangled was really good. Yeah. Mars Needs Moms, not gonna. Brave is pretty good. Wreck-It Ralph is pretty good. Frozen was okay. Actually, I almost watched. Well,